It was a Thursday, I remember, because the weather didn't make sense. Thick clouds hung low, but it was too warm for rain. The air felt heavy, like it was bracing itself for something to snap. She stood in the doorway, keys still in her hand, like she hadn't fully committed to either entering or leaving. Then she said it. We should take a break. Like it was a script she'd practiced over and over until the words had no weight left for her, but all the weight in the world for me. I looked at her, not at her eyes, but just below, where the skin always creased when she hadn't slept enough and tried to hide it with concealer. I didn't say a word, not at first. I let the silence sit there between us. Then without a sound, I reached for the folder. It was simple, plain manila, the kind you'd find in any office. No warning labels, no bold stamps, nothing dramatic. Just ordinary paper with an extraordinary truth tucked inside. I slid it across the counter slowly, like a receipt, like a transaction was being finalized. She opened it like someone already bracing for the impact, like she'd already guessed what it held. Her fingers froze halfway through. Page 4. That was the one that broke the surface. A hotel invoice, neatly dated, the room booked in her maiden name. I watched her eyes scan it. Then they stopped moving. Her whole body stilled except for the twitch of her throat when she swallowed. She didn't look at me. She looked at the wall, as if it might open up and take her away if she focused hard enough. Then she turned, but not toward me, toward her parents, who had stepped in behind her like they owned the house, like their presence was a fixture of the foundation. That's when it came out. Not yelling, not tears, but the kind of rage that simmers just below the skin. Cold. Controlled. Dangerous. The kind of anger that makes you sit down rather than stand up. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. I had said everything I needed to by preparing that folder. It had started with a trip, just 1 week after the wedding. 7 days after promises were made, toasts were raised, and dances danced under strings of lights. Her parents surprised her with a getaway. Called it a family tradition, something about bonding and resetting. She hesitated briefly, but she went. Packed light. Left her wedding ring on the table, said it irritated her finger. She kissed me goodbye like she was heading to the grocery store, not away from a brand new marriage. When she returned, something wasn't right. Nothing was overtly wrong, just off. Slightly. Like a painting hung slightly crooked. She didn't embrace me, just leaned in and touched her cheek to mine. Her shoes were in the wrong corner of the hallway. The mug she always used, the chipped one with the faded blue glaze, was up high, untouched. Her words were fewer. Her eyes looked through me more often. Not absent. Not angry. Just elsewhere. I told myself this was normal. Post-wedding burnout. Everyone warned you about that. How the high wears off and you crash. But this wasn't a crash. It was a calculated fade, an intentional soft exit from connection. And then came the distancing. Nights out. Silent phones. Conversations behind closed doors. I let it happen not because I didn't care, but because I needed to see the full picture. I needed to understand. So I began pulling on the thread. It started with a phone call. An old friend from college who now managed a private resort in Mexico. Off-the-grid type place. He told me he'd seen her there. Not alone. And the man with her? Not a relative. That was the beginning. From there I dug. Bank statements. GPS history. A second phone I didn't know she had, still logged into a cloud account she'd forgotten. And it was all there. The suite booked by her father. Spa sessions paid for by her mother. A couple's massage under her old name. My wife, newly married, still glowing in Instagram white, was on a getaway not for reconnection, but for betrayal. She came back with ocean salt in her hair, and someone else's scent on her sweater. I could have yelled, could have begged or thrown things. Done all the dramatic things people do when they're broken. But I didn't. I watched. Waited. Prepared. So when she finally said the words, "I think we should take a break," I smiled. Of course you do. Later, she called me a monster. Said I set her up. Accused me of laying a trap, like I planned the whole thing to make her fall into it. But I didn't. All I did was pay attention. Her parents never looked me in the eye again after that. Not once. I'm not sure if it was shame or fury. Maybe both. Maybe they couldn't believe I had the patience to play the long game and win. She moved out that night. Took 2 suitcases. Left the photos. Left the dress still wrapped in plastic, like it was being preserved for a second chance that would never come. I kept the file. Not for revenge. Not even to reread. Just to feel the truth of it again. Every now and then, I take it out, not to study it, just to hold it. It's lighter than I remember. Strange how something so thin can carry a weight so vast. Pain always seems heavier than it should. People talk about closure like it's some final destination, like it's the end of the road. But that's not how it works. Closure is just a turn, a fork you take because the straight path is gone. You don't stop. You keep walking. A little more carefully. A little more alert. And you never, ever ignore the sound of footsteps behind you again.